Hi guys, my name is Min and what a day it was today. On the livestream the devs has shown us the coming Tempest 3 cars. Finally, a year after waiting, we got to know what 5 cars we will be fighting for in the next part of the Elite Cruise battle. And trust me, they're worth getting. Definitely tier 3 to tier 5 are pretty much shockers. But before all that, some more information about the Tempest series and what will go down. Tempest 3 will come in the 1.19 update scheduled to drop somewhere in May. With the Agera RS season ending towards the 17th of May, we can say it will be in the first part of the month. Expect this update to be huge as there will be lots of stuff coming. The only information we got so far comes from VIP mails and stream. First off, in the mail it shows in the background a heavily modified BMW i8. This will not be a Tempest car, but a car ran by Rico, just like we had Ruby Rose run her Liberty Walk R8 and Altai in his Shelby both in tier 4. Aside from the top picture of the i8, there are some other interesting things in this mail. First off, the gifted car. Yes, you heard it right, gifted. As a gift, Natural Motion will give us a Mazda MX-5, also known as a Miata, or for some others, the hairdresser's car. It's a tier 1 2-star car. Maxing it out won't be easy, but it might increase the Mazda parts in game, which you can install in your RX-7 Rocket Bunny. Finally, we get another tier 1 car. There are only a few of them, so bringing one in gives more breathing space. Second thing, Tempest 3 will be a mix between sprint races, so the 0 to 60 and the 0 to 100, and also speed trap races. This is something very interesting as it will make us having to choose a well-balanced car even more important during Tempest 3 than Tempest 2. For example, a car with a great 0 to 100 but a horrible end speed might put you in trouble and vice versa, and it will force us to tune more and try understand how tuning works. For every tier I'll give some examples of bad cars and some good cars as well, so you might have an idea. Most important thing here is to use a car with many fusion parts installed and don't use non-star cars, as those have less fusion slots. Tempest 2 has PP limits, but no EVO limits, which makes it crucial to have every single slot possible filled to increase your odds to get through the event easier. Before we get into the boss cars, remember there will be time trials again for the Elite license that can give each car on that license a sweet 10% RP boost. Don't use your best cars for this, but don't let that 10% go to waste either. I will be using the Conde GT1 Mark 1 for tier 1 license, Finsick Siege aka the Bot Hunter for tier 2, tier 3 I'll be using either the Cayman GT4 or maybe the M2 Competition, which by the way is the only sub 8 second tier 3 car so far. Tier 4 I'll be using Roman's Bentley that I have maxed out as it is the fastest tier 4, and tier 5 I will be using the one and only GTX to bring a solid maximum 58% on top of my regular RP. These trials are easy, so sometimes think ahead in the long run about cars that once you have maxed out are great to grind RP with. 10% does matter here. Okay, now the real deal over here, Tempest 3 boss cars. And we kick off without a surprise really. In tier 1 we will get this Ford Trackster. It's a car that has been in the game for a pretty long time now, as it's used by Sneak in the original story mode, on a third race. So nothing changed over here. For Tempest 2, the final time to beat Conde you needed a 12.037. I expect the final time to definitely be as hard, if maybe even slightly harder. The recommended cars to use in tier 1 on the first step would definitely be hands down the Honda Civic 1.5 VTEC, which is the fastest tier 1 car there is. If you don't have the car or you like the fusion parts, you can always use the easy to max out 1-star GTI. For fusion parts you just buy and strip other board gold GTIs which are very cheap. Ford Fiesta ST is also a good choice, but that car is more high in speed build rather than 0 to 60, but it should still do the job. Definitely avoid the Mini Cooper, the MK1 GTI, the regular one, and the GT86 as these definitely won't cut it. All the other cars can go faster than 12 seconds, but I'd rather not risk it out on this amazing Ford Trackster. Tier 2 again, no surprise really. Summer's Alfa Romeo 4C Spider Launch Edition. Also a car that has been in the game for a very long time and a car used in the third race against the Gold Rushers. In Tempest 2 to beat Finn you needed a 10.214, which wasn't really a way too hard time to beat. Best car here was and still is hands down the Boxster. But now with the speed traps I can't guarantee the rocket launcher will still cut it. Also parts aren't easy to come by and it might get tricky overall. Other options here would be Finn his car itself as it's pretty fast in tier 2, or my baby the original 4C Spider. The Civic Type R is also a fast car, but again one that rather reels in its opponent than beating them off the line. I expect the time to be around 9.8 or maybe even 10 seconds to get the 4C Launch Edition, or maybe even faster, I don't know. By the way, in the description I'll put a link to the video with in the comment all max times of all cars so you can check which cars might cut it and which ones don't based on maxed out times. For this tier, I will be using my old, trustworthy 4C Spider. Now come the big guys rolling. Tier 3 we get the RX-7 replaced by the label Motorsports Camaro, and boy does this thing look mean. Azure Inferno has hands down the best looking cars as boss cars, no doubt about it. What I'm curious about though is if it will be sharing stage 6 spot with the original Camaro we already have, just like Emilia's M4 does with the regular M4. I remember when I did the original playthrough, the final time for Kiyiya was a 9.3, then it got changed to 9.0, and now in the 1.18.3, the final time was a 9.132. So I expect it to be maybe around 8.9 or maybe 9.0 again. The go-to car for me here would be Emilia's M4 Liberty Walk. It's fast, easy to max out, and a good balance between acceleration and top speed. Two other fast cars which I wouldn't go for are the ACS2 and the Cayman. Both cars tend to be better at speed traps, but acceleration wise the M4 sticks out. California is a good option as well. Before picking a car, be sure to check their balance, as that will be very important. Hope they can make it a challenge, so you will have to work on the speed trap races. So far every speed trap event we've had were pretty easy. Donna Banks coming in for tier 4, and somehow she managed to get some arrangements and hook herself up with a solid Ferrari F50. Normally we would have expected the original F40, as that was used in the original series, but that car ended up becoming the 7th season prize, so it would have been changed eventually. And boy, what a change. The Ferrari F50 is one of the most iconic cars ever, and I remember when growing up, one of the cars I dreamt of having, and now I can finally get one hopefully, even if it's in a game. Tier 4 has always been an issue, not only for me but also with many players out there. Last time around, to get Ashley's Sesto L1 you needed a final time of a 13.128, which you might think is easy, but it really wasn't. The biggest pain with tier 4 is the lack of good accelerating cars, so using F40, NSX or NSX Liberty Walk are huge no-nos. On the other hand, cars that will do well in this tier are for example S15 Rocket Bunny, Z06 or even the M4 GTS. I know I'll be using the S15 Rocket Bunny as I just love the car, easy to shift and good acceleration. If you have it, I recommend using that one and stripping other bought R35 for fusion parts. Pretty much every car in tier 4 can go faster than 13 seconds, but I suggest to use one with a bigger margin as stage 6 parts aren't easy to get for all cars. And now tier 5, and what a shocker that is. We will see the classy John Harkness driving around in a Lamborghini Sesto Elemento, rather than his original Aston Martin 177. Tier 5 is probably one of the easiest tiers out there, just because we have almost 70 cars in this tier alone and all going faster than 10 seconds. Last time, you needed a 10.877 to get down as Porsche, so I guess that says it all right. With that many options, there are many great cars to use. I suggest like the McLaren 570 VX or the 3-star Lamborghini Huracan. Don't go for cars like the Regera, Porsche 918 or the Ferrari F12, as those are horrible accelerating cars. After all, pick a car that gets good off the line, has no needle drop and perfect start so you can't mess up on the final race, and there's a ton of fusion parts installed so you can wipe a smile off John's face when you drive home in your brand new Sesto Elemento. For this tier I have so many options, I don't know what I will be picking yet, but I feel like the Ice Charger would be my best choice. Now some extra tips about tuning. First, the sprint races 0 to 60 or even 0 to 100. There is a trick going around saying you should just put final drive to 5.0 and nitrous completely to the right and you should be good. Well, that might work for some cars but not for all. There are two ways I work with. First one, pretty easy, just look at a dyno and work with that. Tune to best 0 to 60 or best 0 to 100 depending what you need. If you use metric system, change it to imperial before going to tuning, and so metric users the challenges will go from 0 to 96 km per hour or 0 to 161 km per hour, and a dyno actually shows 0 to 100 and 0 to 200. Once it's done imperial, you can revert it to metric and you should be solid. The other way is through understanding how final drive works. You pick a line and follow it and look at what speed the line ends. This point is where the revs hit the limiter and you would need to shift to next gear or you're stuck at that speed. So what I do sometimes, if the previous method is just too fast to shift, I try to get the first or the second line just to end at the required speed, so then I don't have to shift or maybe just have to shift once. Again, here work with imperial rather than metric when tuning. Here for example my McLaren 650S Liberty Walk that I won a couple of weeks ago just looks stunning. Best dyno would mean that I have to shift 5 times in less than 1.2 seconds to get to 100 miles per hour. Well, if I were to move my file drive to the left just to where, for the example, the end of the second line gets to the 100 mark, I will only need to shift once and I will be able to focus on hitting my nitrous straight away. Be sure to test both out. I have an RPM drop with my 650S Liberty Walk with this tune, so I started on a slow start. Test around and see what works for you. For speed trap, I suggest to just look at the best half-mile dyno or quarter-mile dyno depending on what tier you're on. This will most likely be with a final drive to the left, as this causes long gears with high-end speed. So that's it guys, hopefully it was all clear what you have to look out for and you can already make up in your mind what cars you will be using to get those amazing Tempest 3 cars. If you have any questions if a car is any good, just drop them below or hit me up through line, my line ID is MillerCSR2, or even through Instagram at MillerCSR2. But be sure to give me a current Fusion parts installed with all the upgrades so I can say yes or no easier. For any other questions, also don't hesitate to hit me up, both through line, both through Instagram, doesn't matter. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe for more content, definitely Tempest 3 content. My name is Miller, see you around and keep racing.